Would I ever do that to you? When I first joined the Beatles, I already had a notebook full of songs. What's your favorite Beatles song? People still ask me. Honestly, there are too many, but one I've always loved is Rain. See, Ringo Starr never fought for the spotlight. He never begged for the solo. He just sat behind his kit, steady as a lighthouse, and kept the greatest band on earth from falling apart. For over 60 years, people have called him the luckiest man alive, the drummer who landed the dream job. But that's not the truth. Ringo wasn't just there. He was the glue. When John and Paul clashed, Ringo played. When George stormed out, Ringo stayed. When the crowd screamed so loud the band couldn't hear themselves, Ringo kept the beat alive. He was the calm hand in the storm. Over the decades, he played thousands of songs, covered the hits, dug into the deep cuts, and carried the Beatles' legacy further than anyone thought possible. But only 5 songs stayed with him. 5 tracks that never left his heart. Not the chart toppers, not the stadium anthems. These were the ones that mattered to him. The ones that lived inside him long after the last note faded. 5 songs Ringo has never changed his mind about. Number 5. Rain. Some drummers just keep time. Ringo bent it. Rain wasn't supposed to be groundbreaking. It was only a B-side, the flip-to-paper back writer. But in that song, Ringo heard something different. Space. And he filled that space not with noise, but with feeling. The Beatles had stopped touring. No more deafening crowds. For the first time in years, they could hear themselves play. What Ringo created on Rain was unlike anything before. Slower, heavier, each beat like a raindrop hitting still water. The drums didn't rush, didn't push. They rolled forward like distant thunder. It was the first time he felt like more than the backbeat. The rhythm became the star. John's slowed down vocals, Paul's dreamy bass line, George's dripping guitar. They were all strange and beautiful, but it was Ringo's drums that made sense of it all. Years later, drummers would study that groove. They could copy the notes, mimic the fills, but not the patience. Ringo understood that sometimes the most powerful thing a drummer can do is not play. Rain proved he wasn't just keeping time anymore. He was shaping it. Number 4, Tomorrow Never Knows. Revolutions don't always kick down the door. Sometimes they sit quietly behind the drum kit. Tomorrow Never Knows was the Beatles breaking open the future. Backwards tape loops, Indian influence, meditation chants, a storm of sound. And in the middle of it all, Ringo, playing one hypnotic pattern for 3 minutes straight. No fills, no breaks. Just the pulse that turned chaos into something listenable. The drums were recorded differently too. Compressed, booming, cavernous, like thunder echoing through a cave. Most drummers would have tried to show off, but Ringo knew repetition could be radical. The groove itself became the song. That beat would go on to inspire psychedelic rock, electronic loops, even hip-hop decades later. He proved something that day. Staying still could move the world. Number 3, A Day in the Life. 2 unfinished songs. John's dreamlike story about the news. Paul's playful tale about catching the bus. Put them together, and you get one of the most important moments in music history. From the start, everyone at Abbey Road knew A Day in the Life was different. The air was heavy with focus. Even the tea breaks felt sacred. Ringo used brushes instead of sticks for John's part. Gentle, whispering, almost fragile. Then when Paul's section burst in, the drum snapped alive like a heart restarting. But the real magic was the middle, that orchestral crescendo of chaos. 40 musicians building from silence to madness. And at the very center, Ringo's single steady snare hit, cutting through the storm, grounding it. The final piano chord ran for 43 seconds, fading into silence. Ringo suggested letting it last until it disappeared completely, because silence too could be music. Later he said, "We knew we'd made something we'd never make again. It was lightning in a bottle." Number 2, Come Together. By 1969, the Beatles were barely speaking, but they were still listening. The band came to Abbey Road heavy with hurt. John wanted out. Paul wanted control. George wanted respect. Yet when the tape rolled, the magic still lived. John mumbled nonsense words over a riff. Nobody knew what it meant, but Ringo knew what it needed. A groove so lazy that it was genius. He played as if half asleep. Each snare hit heavy as a dropped book. Behind the beat, but never lost. Swaggering, effortless. Paul's bass wandered. George's guitar stabbed in quick flashes. But Ringo's groove made it all hang together. The glue, once again. That drum sound, close, tight, yet huge, became his favorite. Even as the band unraveled, Ringo still made the impossible sound easy. Number 1, In My Life. Not every love song is about romance. Some are about memory, about time. In My Life wasn't for the charts. It wasn't for screaming fans. It was for quiet nights, when you think about who you were, where you came from, and who mattered along the way. John wrote it while looking out at his childhood haunts in Liverpool, streets, clubs, even a cemetery he used to sit in. But when the band recorded it, it became all their story. Paul's piano was soft, delicate. George Martin's sped-up solo sounded like a music box. And Ringo played with brushes, so gently, it felt more like a conversation than a performance. The whole session felt different. Lights dimmed, voices hushed. They recorded it in just a few takes, too personal to overwork. He said, "This is the song I want at my funeral, not because it was sad, but because it was true." It captured everything the Beatles meant: friendship, time, memory.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.